Hello, and welcome back to the Home Sweet Healthy Homes podcast. My name's Kate, and I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest on. We have Liz from Father Bills and Mainspring. Liz, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you today?
Super excited to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Right? You're our first person we're interviewing outside of the Office of Healthy Homes.
Oh, good. I didn't know that. Okay, I'm excited.
We're excited. So could you please describe a little bit about yourself, but also your role at Father Bills and Mainspring?
Sure. I'm Liz Rogers. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Father Bills and Mainspring, and I've been with the agency for 9 years now.
Wow.
In my role, I provide leadership for our strategic planning work, program development, program evaluation, and compliance. So essentially, we're making sure that we're helping the rest of the agency have high quality programming. We're meeting the needs of our funders and doing what we said we were going to do. And we're being forward thinking. We're thinking about the future, what strategies we want to have in place to prevent and end homelessness in the South Shore.
Awesome. 9 years, that's a long time. I guess you really like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you mind maybe saying your favorite part about the job?
Oh, geez. Well, that's hard. I really have loved it. Been a great fit for me. Been in the homeless field my entire career. What I think I probably love most about Father Bills and Mainspring is that we are really not satisfied with the status quo. We're really trying every day to push ourselves to, make a bigger impact and really make sure that we're focused on the mission each and every day. Our goal is really to prevent and end homelessness. It's not just to continue to manage the system. So, being part of that mission and working with people who are really committed to that, that's super meaningful for me. And, the opportunity to work with great partners like the City of Quincy and the Planning and Community Development Office, it's really rewarding.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned a little bit about the mission and the goals of Father Bills and Mainspring. Could you discuss a little bit more in relation to healthy homes and affordable housing and all that kind of fun stuff?
Sure. It's good work. Yes, important. Our mission, like I said, is to prevent and end homelessness in southeastern Massachusetts. So we operate the region's 2 large emergency shelters for individuals. One of them is in Quincy, the other is in Brockton. We also operate over 160 units of family shelter units. Most of those are in the greater Brockton area. And we have now over 700 units of permanent supportive housing. So for us, the solution to homelessness is housing. It really can be that simple, but it's not housing alone. We also have to make sure that for the folks who are most vulnerable, most in need of deeply subsidized housing and support services, that we're wrapping all of that around them so that they can have safe, stable housing. I think that definitely Father Bills and Mainspring sees housing as healthcare. And so the connection for me with the work that your office is doing really makes a lot of sense. We see how quickly housing instability can really impact people's lives. If you're a mom and have little kids and you lose your housing, your focus immediately becomes on how do I get my kids food, diapers, other emergency services, emergency needs that they have. You're focused on that. You're not worrying about, am I going to get to my annual physical this year? That
Definitely.
has to become secondary. And so when we house people, we almost every single time see folks then be able to take some time and attention for their health and other aspects of their well-being. So really that stabilization that comes with having a safe, affordable place to call home, that makes a huge difference in everything else they're trying to do.
Yeah, and you said you had 700 permanent units. That's awesome. That's great. And so, as you mentioned, you believe that housing is form of healthcare.
Yeah.
I believe housing is the basis of everything, really, and then you can sprout out from there. What are some key factors that you believe that could contribute to creating a healthy home? How does Father Bills and Mainspring work to address these factors?
Sure. We believe that all households need a safe, affordable home that meets people's individual, social, and physical needs. This foundation creates an environment where individuals and families can thrive. So if they have a stable home that they can afford in a neighborhood with resources that they need, they're much better able to achieve their other goals. So things like education, work, volunteerism, physical and mental health, the housing itself provides that core foundation for absolutely everything else. For Father Bill's in Mainspring, we're really providing housing resources along a continuum, trying to work on homelessness prevention and keep people housed all the way through to helping people exit homelessness as quickly as possible and offering permanent supportive housing programs that provide deeply affordable housing and support services for our most vulnerable neighbors. We also have employment services that help adults re-enter the workforce and services that help children stay in school, get connected to other resources that they might need, and make sure that the whole family is having their needs addressed.
Definitely. You just mentioned it is the first stepping stone and create a healthy basis to achieve their goals and the future. How do you believe that having a nice base, stable home and housing affordability can impact the overall health and well-being of the individual and the family? And how does Father Bill's work to mitigate these effects?
Sure. Yeah. It's housing is healthcare. And local and national research shows that the use of emergency resources like ambulance rides, visits to the emergency room, they significantly drop when people have housing. Since 2007, Father Bill's has participated in a state-funded program called Home and Healthy for Good. And that has funded almost 1,200 units of permanent supportive housing across the state. The program also comes with a research component. So we have completed questionnaires with the folks in that program, and they provide really important information about how they have stabilized once they become housed. And that research found that permanent supportive housing has saved over $5,000 in healthcare costs per person per year.
Wow.
So it's not only just a better outcome for the person, but it's a better outcome for multiple systems of care. It's costing healthcare and other emergency resources like police and ambulance companies a lot more to have someone remain homeless than it is to house them. So it makes a lot of sense. We have a housing case management team that works with folks in housing to help them maintain their health insurance, get to and from doctor's appointments, get prescription filled, and even work on nutrition. So making sure they have enough food in the refrigerator. They understand, they have skill enough to be able to cook healthy, nutritious meals for themselves. If they need, additional nutritional support, we help them get to the food bank or food pantry. And all of that is just a core part of the services that we provide once housed.
Definitely. Say a person or an individual is really doing well in your facility and they're got an ID and went to the career center and got a job and they're ready to move out and go on with their life. Do you stay in contact with that individual? Yeah,
we always tell folks who move on, reach out to us if they ever need anything or just to check in with us. We love to hear those success stories and see how far people have come. I actually was just talking with a colleague yesterday who was telling us that there was a family that they had worked with she was in one of our shelter programs and had worked with us for probably a little bit over a year. And ended up, a few years later, now she has purchased her own home.
Wow.
She's got a government job now. She's doing great. And, those are the success stories that really give us all hope and remind us that's what we're trying to achieve here. It is possible. The work can be very hard, but it's really worth it in the long run because you can see how much that housing has made a difference in that person's life. So we love to keep in touch, and certainly if people, life is a journey. If people, run into other challenges, we want them to know that we're always here and they can come back to us and we can help them stay housed. We can help them get connected to other resources in the community. We really want to be an organization that people can rely on.
Definitely. And that's so nice to hear that once they leave your facility to check back and see what they're doing and how their life is going and their wonderful things. They bought a house and they're doing well in their job and maybe they started a family, etc. But it's nice to know that provided them with one basis and stability, they went on to thrive and complete and do well in so many other things. So that must be reassuring and just nice to hear that your organization and your job helped that person to go on and do bigger and better things.
Absolutely. People are resilient, and folks who are experiencing homelessness, they have the same goals and dreams as the rest of us, and anyone really can become homeless. So it's not that there's something unique about that. It can happen to anyone. And so this is our neighbor, this is our cousin, this is, this is anyone. And so to know that we can provide a helping hand during the worst time of someone's life, and do that in a way that allows them to step up and do whatever else, they may have in mind for themselves. It's a great feeling to be a part of that process, even if it's just for a short time with someone. But we really love to see how people go on and great things with their lives.
Definitely.
So for Father Bill's in Mainspring, our target population, the folks that we're prioritizing for our services, are really those that are literally homeless. They're either on the street or they're accessing one of our shelter programs. They really need a lot of support. And our housing in particular that we develop is geared to the people who really aren't going to be able to take advantage of a market rate unit like many of us can. So they really need the deeply subsidized rent, and they need the support services to wrap around them. And so for us, being able to start there, providing that stability, and then the case management support that comes in to help them maintain their tenancy, it often can focus on accessing health insurance, getting connected to a primary care doctor, identifying specialists that they might need, accessing mental health or other behavioral health services, substance use services, whatever the case may be, both for the adults and for the children in the home. For us, it really is about having that stable housing as the core that you can build everything else on top of.
Of course, as a stepping stone to achieving their dreams, getting a job,
Right.
and so on. And doesn't the new facility in Quincy have a Manit inside of it? Which
does.
is awesome in so many ways. So that's a one kind of stop shop for people who are struggling. They can go there and get whatever they need.
Absolutely. You just summarized that really well for me. So we just opened a new facility. We refer to it as our Housing Resource Center. The official name is the Yawkey Housing Resource Center. It's located on Broad Street. And this is the vision for our service delivery system for the foreseeable future. This is, I think I mentioned earlier, we're not satisfied with the status quo. We really want to take things to the next step to really and truly prevent and end homelessness in this community. And we think the Housing Resource Center model is the way to do that. So on site, we have emergency shelter beds for people who need them. We have 30 units of permanent supportive housing, deeply subsidized, deeply supportive units. And we offer a whole host of daytime services. So people can come in and they don't have to take a bed as the first step. We'll work with them and say, hey, do you have something else, another opportunity, a housing-based solution to this? Can we help support that? Can we help you identify a friend, a family member who might be able to help you if we provide a little bit of resource to you? Whatever it might take to keep that person out of homelessness, that's what we want to do. So our goal is to be as person-centered, individualized, and flexible as possible so that we can meet people where they are and give them exactly what they need, not only just give them a shelter bed, but whatever they really need to end their homelessness. And so part of our daytime service array is having that licensed healthcare facility on site, which is provided by Manit Community Health Center, who has been a tremendous partner of ours. We've worked with them for years and years. During COVID, they really stepped up and became critical partners for us, making sure that the folks we're working with had access to COVID testing, surveillance testing to make sure that we were keeping the shelter safe during that time, and also access to vaccines when they became available. For us during, I would say it was probably April or May of 2020, we had about a 30% COVID infection rate in our shelters. And these are folks who often have a lot of other underlying health concerns. When Manit stepped in and started helping us and providing testing, providing vaccines, that rate went down to about 2%.
Wow.
So they have been absolutely critical for us. And so when we started developing the HRC on Broad Street, it was a natural fit for us to try to work with them more closely.
Awesome.
They were really interested. And so the clinic itself, it obviously is serving folks who are in the building or being served by us, but it's also a fully licensed clinic. So any of the neighbors can come in and access healthcare, provide a variety of different services like primary care, health screenings, immunizations, referrals to other specialists, just like any other neighborhood health center would provide.
Awesome. And that's nice to know that for anybody who's listening, that it's not just for the individuals in the facility, it's for everyone who is looking for a clinic. They can stop in and get whatever they need to get in there.
Exactly.
Awesome. We've been talking about some partnerships with Minute, with Quincy Planning and Community Development. Is there any other organizations, nonprofits that you partner with?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the key to our success, really. Our mission is not one that we can achieve alone. We need all sorts of different people to come in and join us in that mission. So one of the things that we do most closely with the Quincy Planning and Community Development Office is we operate what we call our continuum of care. And City of Quincy is really the lead on that. That is our avenue for bringing together really a diverse group of partners from the region to all be working on the same agenda for how to prevent and end homelessness here. And so we have behavioral health partners, mental health partners, schools. Quincy Public Schools is a great partner. They're super engaged in our work. We have other municipal leaders from other communities, business community, faith community, you name it. We've got people kind of contributing and being a part of that continuum of care. And together, what we do, obviously we provide services every day, but we also compete for federal funds. And so the City of Quincy Planning and Community Development Office is the lead applicant for us, and we've been extremely successful. In the last 10 years, we've more than doubled the amount of federal funds that we're bringing in for ending homelessness. And I think that's really a tribute to the partnerships that we have. We're not trying to work in isolation. We're really bringing everybody in and figuring out how to leverage the resources and the expertise that everyone has.
Definitely. And partnerships are so useful. Like you said, for a big task, little task, big goal, small goal, you can't do it alone. And such as this podcast here, coming from the planning department, and we joined on with QATV to create this and spread awareness about healthy housing, now father bills in Mainspring, and etc. But anything, and the more the merrier, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We really need everyone in the community to realize how important affordable housing is for the community. It's not just someone else's problem. I think what we see is, folks sort of assume, affordable housing, it's going to do this or that to the neighborhood, bring my property values down. But if we all stop and think, we all want to be able to have our kids grow up in a community where they can afford to buy a home when they become adults. And if we don't all take responsibility for creating that community, it'll never happen.
Of course. I mean, I'm very young right now, but to even think about how much it is to purchase a house right now, I can't even fathom that much. And I mean, probably 10 years away from getting a house, but still, it's going to take me 10 years to even, come up with that kind of money, which is crazy.
It can feel out of reach for lots of people.
Yeah.
And especially when, for us, we're really trying to support people who have very limited income, have permanent disabilities. Their income might just be Social Security each month. And, home ownership can feel like a dream, you know? And so our goal is to figure out how do we make sure that there are housing options for everyone in our community and people can stay in the community throughout their lifespan. They can be a young person who's starting out and buying that first starter home. They can grow their family here and expand their home size to meet the needs of their family. And then as they age, that they can age in place in that community and find opportunities that work for them.
Of course, and to make that dream a reality is be priceless to those people.
Absolutely.
You discussed a little bit with families and a single mother. How do you and Father Bills and Mainspring with the different facilities tailor to meet the unique needs of different groups within society?
Yeah, so our goal really is to provide individualized services. We want to serve everyone who is homeless and be foundational resource in the community for them, and certainly help people avoid becoming homeless in the first place. But really, we're most focused on the folks who are literally homeless, who have nowhere else to turn. And so as we're working with people, we immediately start assessing their needs. What opportunities do they have to become rehoused, to increase their income? What challenges are they they facing? So we create that assessment and start working with people to develop their goals. What is their vision for how they want to be rehoused, and start putting plans in place to get there. And we pull from resources a variety of different contracts, government contracts, private funders, really to try to, like I said earlier, kind of be as flexible as possible and creative as possible, because every person's story is unique, every person's opportunity is unique, and we want to be responsive to their needs. So we do that assessment. The housing that we produce is targeted to those who really need the deepest support. So we have a prioritization tool that we use to help us do that and move people into housing. So we're making housing placements every day, every month. You know, we're really focused on that as our ultimate goal, of course. But we also have specialized services, knowing that there are differences in the population. So the family system, there are specific resources provided by the state from other funders that are really geared towards supporting households with children. And there are also, on the other hand, resources that are specifically designed for housing veterans or youth. So we are attempting to kind of pull all of those resources together in one place under this housing resource continuum concept. And then that way people can come to us and we can help educate them about what opportunities exist, how they can take advantage of that, and go from there. So it really is a matter of us trying to kind of broker resources on behalf of the individual.
As you're discussing what you do, it sounds like it's very people first, based on individual stories and who they are and their past and how they got here, etc. And it must be really comforting for them to know that you're focused on just that individual, instead of maybe in the past they've tried to navigate it and they have so many roadblocks that they're kind of maybe annoyed, frustrated. And so with you guys, and I'm sure at the Housing Resource Center and other places, it's a really nice place for them to be like, I'm stuck, can you please help me? And you're just focused on them and their situation as a person too, because they must be super scared and stressed as well. So that's nice to hear, and I'm learning new things as we're talking, which is really nice, because then I can go and share the news as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I think that's absolutely what we're trying to achieve here. We want people to come to us and feel like they are being treated with dignity and respect. And, they're not just being told, oh yeah, here, this is the one thing that you can access, but really sitting and working with them and saying, what is it that you need that might be unique to you? And what opportunities do you have? What are you bringing to the table that we can help you take advantage of? I would say that becoming homeless and being homeless is a traumatic experience. We can all try to put ourselves in those shoes and imagine what that must be like and the stress that brings with it. And so as service providers, we try to remember that every day and treat people with that respect and dignity that we would want in that situation as well.
When they come to you as well, it's nice to know, for them at least, I'm sure, that you are going to help them with housing, but you're going to help them with so much more too. It isn't like, oh, you come here, we'll put you in a room and it's kind of up to you to figure out the rest.
Right.
It's nice that they have options to visit a doctor. I heard you have job resources and fairs and people there to help you with a resume or kind of search and find places that your skill sets would best fit, and kind of build that stepping stone, like you said, to go into so many different directions that are available to them and the resources that they have kind of right in that one place.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, it comes back to those partnerships that we talked about, having mass hire and, other kinds of employment resources, benefits programs, the DMV, it's called the RMV in Massachusetts. I should get with it. But the RMV, so people can get IDs and help them move on. You need an ID to get a lease, and there are certain things. So it's really about pulling those resources together and trying to break down some of the barriers that people are facing.
Of course. Could you discuss the importance of advocacy and policy initiatives and ensuring affordable housing for everyone? And I know you've discussed your organization's effort to kind of remove these barriers Could you discuss a little bit about what Father Bells in Mainspring does?
Yeah, absolutely. Advocacy is a huge part of our work. Massachusetts is one of the most expensive states in the country, one of the most expensive housing markets. And right now, actually, I just recently learned that we have the lowest rental vacancy rate in the country right now. So you can imagine what that means. So people are out there, competing with one another for the limited units that are available right now. And so for people toward the bottom of the income range, it's even harder to compete with that. Landlords are able to raise prices because demand is so high. So it does create the situation where a lot of people are priced out of the market. So for us, we're not going to do this on our own, right? We can't prevent and end homelessness all by ourselves. We need state policy, federal policy, and local policy to really support our efforts and to support the people who are most in need. So one of the things that we're advocating for right now is a new housing bond bill. It's called the Affordable Homes Act. The legislature is currently reviewing it, and it's making its way through the legislative process. But it would allow the state to spend up to $4 billion in capital for building affordable housing in Massachusetts. So you can imagine that would be extremely helpful for communities like Quincy and really every community in the state. There are also some policy initiatives in there that will make supportive housing more feasible. It'll help providers like us who want to build affordable housing, supportive housing, to do that in a way that is easier and less expensive. So we're really working on that right now with our legislative delegation, working closely with the administration on what that would look like if it passes. So that's just one example, but we work really closely with state government, local officials. The mayor of Quincy is a great partner of ours as well, and really it takes a lot of education to make sure that those elected officials understand the work that we're doing and how we can help their communities.
Of course. And speaking of education, as you just mentioned, what do you believe are some misconceptions about housing insecurity and homelessness that maybe can educate public about or briefly describe?
Sure. I'd say a lot of what we hear in terms of misconceptions around affordable housing is that it'll bring down property values in the neighborhood. Maybe it will increase costs to schools or other, sort of municipal infrastructure, or even maybe increase crime. There are lots of national studies out there that have really dispelled all of those as myths. And in fact, affordable housing can really bring a lot of great resources into the community and give a vibrancy to the community that it wouldn't otherwise have. And so that's a lot of what we're trying to communicate when we go out and we're talking with folks about the housing projects that we're trying to do. It's just educating them on what it really looks like. I think there is this, for folks who aren't really familiar with affordable housing or haven't been involved, there's a vision maybe of a large housing project, hundreds of units and huge buildings. And certainly there are some larger projects that larger communities can support, but our projects tend to be about 30 units. Sometimes they're even smaller than that. And so it usually looks like a 2 or 3 story building. We do our best in community meetings to get that feedback from the neighbors, the municipal leaders, to say, what is the right location for this building? What's the right design? We want to make sure that it fits in with the neighborhood. We want our projects to be a success just as much as anyone else would. And so it's actually a really great opportunity to have public meetings about a proposed project, because we can get some important feedback that way and also help dispel the myth. I think overwhelmingly, when we explain to people what we do, who we're serving, how we provide that ongoing support to tenants, inevitably they end up supporting our projects because they can see our track record of success really hasn't negatively impacted the communities around it. And frankly, I think there's probably a lot more affordable housing in folks' communities than they realize, because it's just like any other housing. For us, we provide added supports, but otherwise these are normal tenants living normal lives and your average members of the community. And so that's really what we're out trying to do, is to explain nothing uncommon about affordable housing and the folks who are accessing affordable housing, and we're there to support the project and make sure that it works in the long term.
Of course, and the new housing resource Resource Center is gorgeous, right near the police station, near the cemetery. It's such a beautiful building inside and out as well. We recently toured it and thought it was gorgeous.
Good. I'm glad you got over there.
Yeah. So looking a little bit ahead, I know you said your ultimate goal was to end homelessness and housing insecurity. But what are some maybe smaller goals, larger goals for Father Bill's and Mainspring in the future, and kind of what you're working on right now in terms of those goals?
Sure. So we have the agency's strategic plan that's in place right now, and that calls for us to develop about 150 units of permanent supportive housing each year. And that's through housing production, but it's also through just growing our housing vouchers that we might have available to us or turnover in our existing portfolio. So we want to be able to house about 150 additional people each year. We also are working hard on growing our prevention and diversion work, so making sure that people who don't absolutely need that shelter bed can avoid that. And then ultimately, though, we really want to make sure that we have the infrastructure in place to support this work for the long term. So we've grown a lot over the last 10 years or so, and we want to make sure that we have the organizational capacity in place to continue developing housing, to continue offering solid services, and the workforce that is going to be able to be dedicated to this in the long term. So those are sort of the tenets of our current strategic plan. Looking forward, the solution to homelessness is housing. So for us, every strategy is really focused on how to bring more housing into the community that's really going to be dedicated to folks who are experiencing literal homelessness.
Yeah, looks like you got your hands full over there with all of these. And you guys are doing a great job already, and hopefully, and I have no doubt that you won't accomplish these goals come next year and the years ahead.
Thank you.
So how can we, the public, the community, help Father Bill's and Mainspring with their goals? How can we show our support?
Everyone can help. We want everyone to be part of our mission. So really appreciate the opportunity to speak about that. I think, again, it takes everyone. It takes a community response to really end homelessness. And so for us, that can mean people lending their time, their talent, financial resources to the mission. Volunteerism is a great way to get connected to our mission, understand what it looks like day to day on the ground, really doing this work. Some of the most common volunteer opportunities we have in place right now are served meals. You can come down to the shelter, sign up, bring dinner with you, cook and prepare and serve dinner with our cooks in the kitchen. People love it. It's just a great way to give back and really see that direct connection to the folks that you're helping. And we also have bagged meals. People can prepare bagged lunches off-site, drop it at one of our housing locations. There's really a variety of volunteer opportunities coming and, supporting either our shelter sites or our housing locations. We also certainly want folks to speak up. So if we are proposing an affordable housing, a permanent supportive housing project in your community, come down to that public meeting, speak in favor of what we're doing, learn more about what we're trying to do, ask us questions, be part of that process. We really welcome that because, again, I think, it takes neighbors to say, okay, I can get behind this and show that support. And sometimes that can make all the difference in the world for making a project go through. And then lastly, of course, there are a variety of ways to give financial contributions. All of this, whether it's a financial donation, volunteerism, you can find information about how to do all of those things on our website. It's www.helpfbms.org. And we really encourage folks to reach out and talk to us about how they can get involved.
Yeah, and you heard that there's so many different ways to get involved, and just truly awesome cause to get involved too. So you might as well just head over. I will put all of the information, including the website, a form of contact, in the blurb. So you will have no excuse but to go and check it out. Thanks so much for joining today, Liz. Is there anything else you want to add before we close up?
No, I really appreciate the opportunity and so glad that you're here in our community talking about affordable housing.
Well, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you on next month's episode. Bye.